At the age of 35, 40, that you realize, oh, I don't care how they perceive me. I think young people are very cool when it comes to sharing things. When we started in 2014, at that time Indians didn't know about backpacker hostels, right? Travel has moved into the necessity basket for the Gen Z.
Hello, welcome to another interesting episode of Been There, Seen That by Travel Secrets. Today we have a very interesting guest on our show, Pallavi Agarwal. She is the founder of India's most loved hostel brand for travelers, GoStops. Welcome to the show, Pallavi. It's a pleasure having you here with us.
Thank you for having me over Travel Secrets.
So, let's get into your brand, and can you just tell us what inspired you to start this interesting hostel chain for travelers?
So I never really wanted to do a startup. I have spent 8 years in the corporate world doing something that I loved the most, which was consumer behavior research. But I happened to travel to Europe in 2012 and relied on somebody else to book my accommodation, which was a big mistake because they booked me in travel hostels across Europe for about 15 days. So I stayed in 10 different hostels and I hated the first one that I walked into because I was supposed to be sharing a dorm with other people, and at 30, 32, I wasn't ready to do that. But by the time I walked out of that dorm into the common area, at the end of the night, I had already made several new friends. And it got me thinking that this is something that young Indians should have back at home. People who are in the age group of 20 to 25, 20 to 30 should have something that is their own. I was an avid traveler since I was a child. But that was because I was traveling with my parents. When I started traveling with my friends, the frequency of travel went down quite a bit because you always had to plan logistics and accommodation quite a bit. Along with the fact that all of them needed permission, so you had to have a gang of 5, 6 people. Only then you could really plan a legit trip. And I thought this really solves for it because then a couple of people can just decide they want to head and explore a new part of the country over the weekend, and they don't need their gang to join them because they're going to find their gang at the hostel. And I came back from Europe and I started making business plans after business plans after business plans, and it wasn't making me money. So I wasn't ready to leave my job, but this obsession didn't leave me. So by 2013, I started looking for properties. And by 2014, we signed our first hostel in Varanasi, which is Jan of 2014. And it was really my mother who pushed me, who said that you've been obsessing over this for the last 1.5 years. If you don't do it now, when will you do it? You may as well just do it. And she was my first seed funder as well.
Oh, okay. That's very encouraging. So, who actually stays in these hostels? Is it just digital nomads, or is it like lone travelers, or do you have like families also, or what is?
So, we have copied the global template of what backpacker hostels are. So backpacker hostels have existed in Europe forever because of the concept of gap year that exists in Europe. So they tend to travel for anywhere between 3 months to 1 year, and hostels allow them to stretch that sort of length of stay. We've adopted that phenomena, leveraged the sharing economy concept which is present inside the dormitory setup, because you're using the space which was typically assigned for two beds. You're now using it for 6 people using bunk beds because you're vertically using the space. And a person ends up paying only for 1 bed. So you're leveraging the sharing economy concept for an age group which is 18 to 30, which finds sharing economy aspirational, and it's not something that they're giving up. They find the aspect of meeting new people, of community, something that is very valuable to them. So it's aspirational for them. So that is what we did when we built this. So do we have travelers staying with us for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, which is what happens in Europe? No. Our average length of stay is 2 nights. But what we've become is the youth hotel for these people, using the backpacker hostel concept of So we have people who are between the age group of 20 to 25, which are our primary target, who are staying with us. And everything in the hostel is designed for their attitudinal and psychographic requirements.
Okay. And besides offering such colorful spaces for, tourists to stay in, do you actually do anything to make them want to come and get to know each other and spend time with each other?
Yes, absolutely. I think we call ourselves a design-led space. So if you're aware of co-working spaces, typically there'll be a community manager who will be in charge of bringing the community together. And which is why co-working spaces are such a great place to work in, because not only are you interacting with your own team, you're also interacting with other businesses, other startups which are using that co-working space, right? We don't have community managers everywhere, but what we do have is very thoughtfully designed common areas which lend themselves to bring the community together. So, small examples, we'll have an amphitheater with a home theater system and a large screen. Now, if you want to watch something on that scale, which like typically you would see 20 people, you'll have to negotiate a little bit with everybody around you in terms of what you should play. That by that virtue, you start talking to people in the space. Instead of having small tables, we'll have one large table, which will see 10 people on one side and 10 people on the other. Because you're on the same table, you'll interact with them, right? We have a foosball table where you can't play foosball alone. You have to ask somebody to join you in the game. We have a pool table. All the games that we keep in the hostel are all multiplayer games, for example. And there are several plug points all through the common area so that you don't even have a reason to go back to your room. You can just charge your devices, your laptop, you can keep listening to your music, reading your book, interacting with other people. The common areas are open 24/7. So this design basically fosters community. And we layer it with our app. So our app is something that delivers the experience of the hostel in the palm of their hand. So for example, even the key to their room will land on the app. So we have Bluetooth locks. The key to the locker will land on the app. You can order food on the app and you can choose whether the food should be delivered to your room or should it be given to you in the common area, or you would like to opt for self-service, so you pick it up from the kitchen. So those options are there. You can raise a ticket on the app itself. And you can also chat with the fellow hostelers at that point in time, whoever is staying in the hostel. Because while there's a physical common area, there's also a virtual common area. What if you're out, but you still want to understand who is heading out for a beer in the evening? Can I join them, or can I ask other people to join me for a beer in the evening from the hostel? So there's so many things that are happening in terms of community. And then finally, we also communicate in the chat room itself. So we organize several events every day. We just started it about a month ago. But there'll be a music gig, or there'll be an art showdown, or there'll be a tie and dye session, or an open mic night. So we'll keep announcing those, and people can join them at about 7 in the evening every day, or 10 in the morning, depending on various destinations. So we do a lot in order to ensure that the community can sit together and interact with each other and learn a little bit about each other.
So there are a lot of these, common activities
Yes.
that makes them all want to be together. But does that take away from them wanting to go and see the place that they've come to visit, or they manage a good balance of the two?
It's a good balance. So we usually believe that the traveler is out the entire day. So whether it's a business destination or a leisure destination, because we literally want to be everywhere where a young person has any reason to travel. If it's business, we want to be there. They should stay in something that is designed for them, rather than staying in a place which is not designed for them. So the colors, the vibe, the games, the common area, the 24/7 cafe is all keeping in mind the 18 to 30-year-old traveler, right? Those might not be the facilities available in a place which is not designed for them. So even if you're traveling for business, we would rather that they stay at any hostel, not just us, any other hostel as well. And so if it's business, they're out the whole day. If the leisure destination, again, they're out exploring the city the whole day. They'll come back by 7 or 8 in the evening. That's where our activities start.
Okay. And as an avid traveler myself, I just wanted to ask you, because a lot of travelers, are not comfortable with shared bathrooms. Has that ever been a problem with people who check into your hostels?
Excellent observation. When we started in 2014, at that time Indians didn't know about backpacker hostels, right? So our objective was to stay operationally positive and break even and not lose money. So early in the day, we decided to choose all the locations where the foreign backpackers were going, right? So that we could make money from the first month itself. And at that time, the biggest concern that we had, and we knew that we were building for India. So we knew that this is just a thing that we are doing right now. And ultimately, this is going to be for the 370 million young people that are residing in our country. And we listed ourselves on GoMMT and GoIbibo and Booking.com, where the Indians were going and creating bookings. We knew there'll be a hesitation to probably share bathrooms. So back in the day, we used to send out an emailer saying, you should know what you're getting yourself into. And shared bathroom was one highlight that we used to put out there. And we were very surprised that Indians took to it very well. And we've never had a complaint about shared bathrooms. And we do keep some extra bathrooms so that not, especially in a business location, because everybody has to leave for office. So they will all come to the bathroom at the same time. So you have to have a couple of extra bathrooms to reduce the pressure. But I think young people are very cool when it comes to sharing things. I think it's just us who are the problem.
Have you ever seen people, travelers make, travel safety mistakes? And if so, then how do you ensure safety in your premises?
Yes, people do make mistakes. I think they get very charmed by the feeling of community and they let their guard down. I think globally, it's a well-known fact that you're supposed to keep your valuables close to you at all points in time, no matter which country in the world you're at. So I've seen that because India is still in its early stages as far as backpacking and communities, shared spaces, especially during travel is concerned. So we do put up posters everywhere. Please keep all your stuff with you. Do not leave it lying on the bed. Please keep it locked inside a locker. I think it's just a matter of habit creation and people will start doing that. That you can be in a shared community space while still taking care of your valuables. But yes, I think most people are getting used to that.
And according to you, which is the most unexpected place in India that backpackers are liking and loving being there?
I think travel has moved into the necessity basket for the Gen Z. And it's even if you go to any cafe and happen to overhear a conversation, more often than not you'll hear the word travel. I love traveling. I was there, I was somewhere, I was in Coorg or I was somewhere else over the weekend and I saw this new place. So travel is becoming very, very important for this financially independent, self-assured Gen Z, right? And they're willing to do it on their own. They're much more liberated than millennials. So, according to me, there's really nothing unexpected there. Every place in the country should have a hostel, according to me. Every place that a young person has any reason to travel to should have a hostel. The most unexpected, I don't know, Lakshadweep probably.
And is there any rule that you have for these, sometimes you have these very annoying hostelers in your hostels. So is there any rule that you have to keep that kind of problems away?
I have a theory on this that Gen Zs, they're not annoying at all. In fact, what happens is that when you're in a social setting, you are very aware of how you're perceived. And if you want to be part of the pack, you will try your level best not to irk the pack. So they're actually at their best behaved, probably more well behaved than they would be alone at home. Because they're in a community space, right? So usually we don't have instances where somebody is there sticking out as a sore thumb. So they self-police themselves, right? It's only when you come to the age of 35, 40 that you realize, oh, I don't care how they perceive me. So I'm going to go and fight with the flight crew or I will create a ruckus at a restaurant. That's not what the young people really do. So yeah, annoying travelers at the Gen Z level is usually not that common. Millennials, obviously, I will not comment on.
And is there any interesting story that, you've experienced with any of your guests or anything that, has happened in any of your hostels that has stuck with you and makes for, good story, a feel-good travel story?
The feel good travel story. I think all of them are such great stories. Uh, we've had people come up to us and tell us that they have met their co-founders at our hostels and they started a venture together. We've had people, I think that's beautiful because they all discuss their lives and their aspirations when they're sitting in a common area in a very uninhibited manner. Uh, we've had people who've come back and told us that they've made friends and they've stayed in touch for 7, 8 years after that. So it's all very heartwarming. And especially during the days when we were hosting foreign backpackers, I still see some friendships that were forged at that point in time, talking 2014. Early Indian travelers and foreign backpackers who are still in touch in 2025. So it's pretty nice.
And do you have anything to say to people who want to be first-time hostelers and to encourage them to use such spaces for travel?
Yeah, I think everybody should try a hostel once. Just look up the nearest location next to your city. You're in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Delhi, Jaipur, wherever. Find a hostel which is like 5 to 6 hours away. Just take a Volvo, get there. You don't even have to ask your friends because in all likelihood you will find your tribe at the hostel itself. Just be sitting in the common area. Something will happen which will allow you to, even if you're an introvert, that will enable you to have an interaction with the other people in the hostel. So one should just try it. And once you try it once, it gives you such sense of freedom. And we've had women solo travelers come up to us and tell us this, that I never traveled alone and I went and stayed in a hostel once, all alone, made friends. And now I almost travel like 5 to 6 times in a year on my own because I know when I go to a hostel, I'll find somebody there. So I think it's just a matter of doing that first trip, and I'm sure people will be hooked to it after that.
And if hostels had a motto beyond cheap and reasonable travel, what would it be?
It's finding your tribe. It's being with like-minded individuals who are also willing to explore the country and learn new things and immerse themselves in new realities.
So thank you, Pallavi, for all this valuable information. And now we'd just like to do a small rapid fire with you. So, what do you do when you visit a city for the first time to feel like a local? What is the first thing that you would like to do?
I figure out where I get the local cuisine. So that's
Okay.
my first thing. I look up all the restaurants that serve local cuisine.
Okay. And your favorite international hostel chain would be?
So many good ones out there. I think Generator.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one underrated travel item that you would advise everyone to pack?
Nail cutter.
Okay. And for people visiting India, what's a local dish that you would tell them never to skip?
But India is so diverse as far as cuisine is concerned.
But any one thing that you say, this is my absolute favorite?
Pani puri.
Okay. And have you seen some very weird items left behind in your hostel, by travelers? Something that made you wonder, like, why they were carrying it with them?
People leave all kinds of things behind in a hostel, especially foreign backpackers. They leave a lot of things behind, including their entire backpacks. So that's the funniest because they have a certain limit as far as stuff they can carry back home on a flight. So we get a lot of stuff which is left behind, and we usually give it to charity because they'll be in mint condition, and yeah, they leave a lot of things behind.
And where are you now looking to open, more of your hostels? Which is the next place that you're hoping to open up?
So we're expanding a lot more in the south of India. So we're currently opening more in Kodaikanal, Chikmagalur, more in Kerala. So we're coming up more in south of India. But we have about 10 hostels opening up this year.
And any kind of travel advice that you would like to give the viewers?
I think it's best to dream of travel on a Wednesday because it's midweek, and I think you've already spent 2-3 days in office and you've started dreaming of freedom. So it's best to do that. Look up online, go and look at possibilities of where you can go to. ISBT is your best friend. Find the nearest bus station, book a Volvo, head out. Instead of staying in the city, 2 days you would have seen something new instead of spending some time at the bar or watching a movie. So you'd be better off after that.
So, Pallavi, there was another question as I was talking to you. I have been to your website and I noticed that you also offer rooms with ensuite bathrooms. So, that would be for which age group and what kind of travelers come for that kind of rooms?
So it's usually young people only. Let's say two friends are traveling together. They would still want the community vibe of the common area, but they don't want to be in a dorm because they can afford it. So they would want to be in a private room. So two girls, two boys, girl or a boy, whatever, whichever way. They like their privacy, but they also want the community feel. It's typically the people who use it. Older people also tend to book us sometimes. But it's just fine as long as they're okay with the idea that there's not going to be any room service, there is no EPBX, and we're completely digital. So anybody who's young at heart can also come in. We don't have an upper age limit. So yeah, that's who uses us.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So thank you so much. This has been very informative and very interesting, and I'm sure a lot of more people will, get the courage to embark on their solo voyages and solo travel and check out your brand of hostels. And thank you once again.
Thank you so much for having me over.